Welcome back, dear traders. InstaForex analysts have evaluated fresh data on the US labor market, inspiring corporate reports and the headwinds in the high-tech sector. Let's discuss everything in detail. Wall Street lacks the appetite for risk in the middle of the trading week. Traders prefer to be cautious and absorb comments by Fed policymakers, assessing the prospects for 2023. A fall in Alphabet shares set the stage for the doom and gloom in the stock market. The benchmark indexes went down. The Dow Jones shed 0.6% or 207 points yesterday. The Nasdaq dropped by 1.6% and the S&P 500 lost 1.1% intraday to close at 4,117 points. Market sentiment was more optimistic on Thursday. The major stock indexes traded in the green in the pre-market. Futures on the stock indexes have recouped yesterday's losses, and the S&P 500 is expected to trade in the corridor between 4,110 and 4,190 points. The high-tech stocks displayed the worst performance on Wednesday. Alphabet served as a drag on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. With a 9% slump, the high-tech giant lost more than $100 billion in its market value after its new chatbot shared inaccurate information in a promotional video. The error caused concern that Google's parent company lags behind rival Microsoft in artificial intelligence. Another factor to dampen the risk-on mood was signals from some Fed officials about the further rate hikes. None of the speakers said that the strong non-farm payrolls for January could encourage more aggressive monetary tightening. Christopher Waller said that inflation is on a track to further deceleration this year. Still, the central bank's fight for the target level of 2% could be lengthy. Investors also digested comments by Joe Biden about the state of affairs in the country. In particular, his appeal to quadruple tax on stocks buyback. All major sectors of the S&P 500 closed with losses. The telecom sector fell by 4.1% and the high-tech sector shed 1.3%. The utility sector dropped by 1.7%. Futures on the Wall Street indexes went up in the light of upbeat corporate reports today. Walt Disney jumped by 6.6% in the pre-market because the company's profit was beyond expectations. Besides, the company decided to cut 7,000 jobs in an effort to save $5.5 billion. The shares of casinos, Wynn Resorts and MGM Resorts surged by nearly 5% each in light of the financial reports for the fourth quarter, and PepsiCo shares climbed by 1.4% because the company reported stronger than expected results. According to Refinitiv, more than half of the S&P 500's companies have provided their records for the fourth quarter. 69% of them surpassed expectations. Philip Morris, Ralph Lauren, S&P Global and PayPal are due to release their records later today. The stocks of companies with a mega market capitalization, including Meta, Apple, Microsoft and Alphabet, grew from 1% to 2% in the pre-market. Tesla shares jumped by 3.7% because the U.S. Secretary Council said it did not find evidence that Tesla Model S was operating on autopilot before the fatal crash in April 2021. U.S. stock markets opened the year on an optimistic note amid hopes that the U.S. Fed would soon complete its cycle of rate hikes. Meanwhile, the stock markets are trading mixed because Fed officials acknowledged a decline in the U.S. inflation. They signaled further rate hikes on the back of the healthy labor market. A fresh weekly update by the Labor Department showed that the number of first-time jobless claims eventually went up higher than expected. Following 183,000 new claims, the figure rose to 196,000 last week, higher than the consensus of 190,000 claims. The dynamic inspired stock investors, but the indicator remains way below the highs. The US dollar is trading lower following a decline no Wednesday. The US dollar index shed another 0.5% today. It slipped to 102.80 in the pre-market, and the intraday corridor for the index is defined between 102.30 and 103.20. Investors are absorbing comments by Fed policymakers on the agenda for further policy moves. On the one hand, Powell's comments were less hawkish. On the other hand, Fed officials dropped hawkish hints. Despite a series of hawkish comments, the US dollar needs something more convincing to assert its strength. The catalyst for the greenback's rally could be fresh inflation data, which will be released next week. Meanwhile, the US dollar remains under pressure. The Canadian dollar is taking advantage of the greenback's slide. Having fallen by 0.4%, the USD CAD pair traded at 1.3390 before the opening bell. The instrument retreated to the opening level of Wednesday. The currency pair is expected to trade in the corridor between 1.3340 and 1.3440. Yesterday, the Bank of Canada posted the minutes of its policy meeting. The regulator increased its key interest rate last month on the back of tensions in the labor market and stronger than expected economic growth. The minutes suggest that apparently the Bank of Canada would hardly change interest rates at the next meeting. On a Tuesday, Governor Tiff McClam stated that no more rate hikes would be needed if economic growth stalls and inflation eases. As for the oil market, oil prices tumbled on Thursday. Optimism about growing demand in China was spurred by the fact that the U.S. oil inventories swelled to the largest level since June 2021. Brent futures skidded by 0.9% to trade at $84.32 a barrel. WTI futures sank by 0.7% to trade at $77.68. Bitcoin is trading in the red. The token lost ground considerably. The price shed more than 1% to trade at $22,690. The popular altcoins are overwhelmed by pessimism. Ethereum, Solana, Ripple and Litecoin lost 0.8 and 2.1% intraday. Digital assets are trading in sync to the high-tech sector. The culprit for pessimism is the investigation into the Kraken crypto exchange launched by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for offering unregistered securities. The investigation is entering the final stage, so the dispute could be settled in the coming days. Commission Chair Gary Gensler said that companies which help facilitate transactions in the crypto market should be registered with the agency like other brokers. Back to Bitcoin's intraday outlook. Today, the token could retest the level of $22,500. In case the level is broken, the price could slide to $22,200. And the most realistic scenario is trading sideways in the range between $22,700 and $23,200. Trade with the profits and follow market developments on the InstaForex TV channel. See you online tomorrow.